Hello everyone, Mr. DVB here, aka Dawson, or I guess Dawson, aka Mr. DVB. Either way, tonight was the 98th Academy Awards, the Oscars for the films released in the year 2025. As I do every other single year, I watch the Oscars with my family tonight. Always look forward to it. It's always a fun time. I look forward to the award season every single year because I love movies. I love predicting things. I love being on the edge of my seat wondering what's going to win when it's not like a really obvious category. And yeah, this year was a pretty solid Oscars. Some interesting awards. Definitely got a lot of correct predictions and some surprises there. So we're going to go over each of the categories, kind of skipping over like some of the smaller ones that I don't really know too much about. And discussing my thoughts on the winners and if I think that it was deserved or not, in my personal opinion. So first up, this is going, I believe, in the order that the actual Oscars themselves went, which is nice. So the first one in that regard is going to be Best Supporting Actress, and the winner this year was Amy Madigan for Weapons, which is great. This is what I wanted to win. I think my initial prediction when I first talked about the nominees a few months back was Tiana Taylor in One Battle After Another. That wouldn't have been my personal pick. That's just kind of where I expected the award season to go. But as the season went along, it became more and more obvious that it was gonna be Amy Madigan's Oscar this year. And I think again she did an excellent job in the movie. It's nice to see horror get recognition. I mean, obviously, horror did get recognition this year. Sinners got nominated for 16 awards. But it was great to see Amy Madigan come in here and win this award for Best Supporting Actress. And yeah, I think she did a great job. Like I said, super fun role for her, just a really like over the top zany character, and I think she did a great job. So really happy with that one. The rest of the actresses, though, I all think did a really good job. But Amy Madigan was my personal pick, and I was very happy to see her take home that award tonight. Then we had Best Animated Feature Film, and the winner this year was K-pop Demon Hunters, which I haven't seen personally, so I can't really give my thoughts on the movie. I know it was huge, though. It did super well on Netflix, and then they put it in theaters afterwards, and it made a ton of money. So it was a big, massive sensation, and the music is obviously super popular and like all over the radio and whatnot. The only film I actually saw on this list was Zootopia 2. I haven't seen Elio yet. It's the only Pixar film I have not seen. Um, but yeah, Zootopia 2, I loved. That was, I mean, yeah, it's my favorite because it's the only one I watched, but it was my favorite animated movie I saw in general last year. K-pop Demon Hunters, though, I'll definitely have to add it to my list now after having it won tonight. But yeah, that was my prediction though, so I'm glad in that regard at least. Then we have Best Costume Design, which is a category I've talked about in the past. Costume design is always a weird one for me because what the Academy tends to nominate for costume design, isn't always the kind of movies that stand out to me in that regard. They tend to go for a lot of historical films or period pieces. And well, that's like totally valid. For me personally, costumes that stand out more are in things like fantasy or sci-fi or just where they have to really like be creative and create something new as opposed to drawing inspiration from like historical images and whatnot. And so it's always kind of a funny category in that opinion for me. Like Marty Supreme, it's the 1950s. You look at what people wore back then and then you create those outfits. Something like Avatar or Frankenstein, I feel like you have to get a lot more creative with. Some people might disagree with that, but that's just how I've always kind of felt with that category. But anyways, Frankenstein won this year, which was my prediction. Happy to see that. I do think, this had great costume design in that regard. Del Toro's films always really stand out in that regard. He always has like such, extravagant dresses and things like that and costumes that these characters wear. Very like gothic, really colors that really stand out and catch your attention. So great to see that this won. That was my prediction. Very happy about that. And yeah, that would have been my pick as well, honestly, looking at these. I was surprised to see Avatar Fire and Ash like be nominated for costume design when it's CG characters, but you are still designing, the look of these characters. That just was interesting to me to say the least. But yeah, really happy to see Frankenstein take this one home. Then we had makeup and hairstyling, which was another win for Frankenstein tonight. Another correct prediction for me. I think it was the standout on this list for sure. Sinners and Smashing Machine are the other two that I've seen. Smashing Machine, I think they did a really good job at transforming Dwayne Johnson for that film. And Sinners, I think they did a great job with all of the vampires and just like, some of their mangled faces from the people who had been attacked or like the fangs and things like that. Really good work there. But Frankenstein to me, I think stood out the most in this category. All of the work they had to do on not only Jacob Elordi, but a lot of the other characters because again, historical film. So there's some crazy hairstyles there and I think they did an excellent job with all that. So great to see another win like that for Frankenstein tonight. Then we move into Best Casting, which was a brand new category introduced this year. So this is recognizing the casting director who, basically picked all of the cast for the movie, filling in all of the large roles, the small roles, discovering new actors to take on these characters and whatnot. And the winner this year was One Battle After Another, which was a surprise win in my eyes. I thought Sinners was going to win this, thought that was going to be the first movie to take home that award. But it ended up going to One Battle After Another, which was a big surprise, like I said. Did not expect that one. But I think it's a deserved award. I mean, both of those films introduced us to some big new actors. We got Chase Infinity in One Battle After Another, who did a great job in that film, really leading a major role there. And then Sinners had Miles Canton. Again, another newcomer filling in a really big role for this film. So both great jobs in that regard. Excellent casts in both those movies. But yeah, One Battle took home the award. I'm happy with that personally. Don't have a complaint to say there. I don't think these other three films really stood a chance. I really think it was between One Battle and Sinners, and I'm happy to see One Battle take home that award tonight. Then we have a tie, actually, which was kind of interesting in live action short. It's been a while since there's been a tie at the Oscars. I know, like, a couple decades back, there was a tie for, I think, like, Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress or something. It was a really big category like that. So, interesting to see that happen. Again, funny that it was for live action short. They made a joke about that in the show, how, the short category ends up getting 2 winners, so twice as long. But that was cool to see. Supporting actor this year, the Oscar went to Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, which was my prediction, and I think 100% the best performance on this list. I think all these actors did a great job, but Sean Penn just easily stood out to me the most. I think he did such an incredible role, just completely transforming into this character. Small things about it, just the way he walks, the way he looks around and things like that, his facial expressions, his tics and things like that. Really transformative performance and just a really despicable character that you love to hate. He did a great job. He wasn't there at the show tonight, and he won. It was pretty funny. Kieran Culkin made a joke, saying like, Sean Penn couldn't be here tonight, or he didn't want to, because he wasn't at any of the other award shows, so clearly he just did not want to. But yeah, that now makes him, a 3-time Oscar winner for acting categories. But yeah, Benicio del Toro I thought was really good in One Battle After Another, but obviously between the two for the same film, I think Sean Penn's the clear winner here. Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein was great. Delroy Lindo for Sinners was a lot of fun, and Stellan Skarsgård was really good as well in Sentimental Value. But yeah, Sean Penn, easy win. Then we have adapted screenplay. The winner this year was One Battle After Another. Again, another correct prediction on my part. I think that, this definitely had the best script out of the nominees. I mean, I haven't seen Hamnet, mind you, but loved the script here. I thought it was great. I also really liked the screenplay for Begonia, but I wasn't really expecting Begonia to come home with any awards tonight, and it didn't. But that was a really good script as well. But yeah, One Battle won this one, and I think it just did a great job at balancing so many different things. I mean, it's obviously an incredibly topical film with just the current state of politics in the U.S. right now, and so just have a movie that is dealing with all of those things get backed up and made by a major studio is pretty interesting to see. And I'm sure there's going to be some slack about that. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of people very happy. No, I think it was totally deserved, and just an excellent script at blending so many things, like drama, emotion, comedy. It's like a dark comedy at times, and yeah, I just think it nails all of those things, all those categories so well. Then we have original screenplay. The winner this year was for Sinners, which was written by Ryan Coogler. This was my prediction. It wasn't my personal pick. For me, Marty Supreme had the best script this year for original screenplay. I thought that this film was just so well written, such a funny script, so many great lines and moments from the characters in this movie. So Marty Supreme, that was easily my pick for what I think should have won. But I did predict Sinners, just being that, it was nominated for so many awards, and, the film, obviously, like, the themes of it are really important. So that was good to see that one win. I liked the script a lot. I thought it was really good. But yeah, my pick would have been Marty Supreme personally. But yeah, Ryan Coogler taking home his first Oscar win tonight, which was really cool to see. Then we had Best Production Design. The winner this year was Frankenstein. Another correct prediction. Great production. I already kind of discussed it earlier, but yeah, Del Toro's films always really stand out in that regard. He always has such amazing environments in his movies, with the architecture and everything, and the colors and all the work that goes into them. Very gothic style, and Frankenstein was just a gorgeous movie in that regard. It looked fantastic, so that was great to see. None of these other ones really stood out to me, to be honest, in that regard. I haven't seen Hamnet, but the other three, I mean, they all had obviously really good production design, but Frankenstein really just stood out to me the most in terms of those environments and just fitting the aesthetic that the film's story crafts. Then we had visual effects. This one was kind of a given. It was the Avatar category. This really might as well not even nominate other films in here because Avatar is going to win. But yeah, F1, really good effects. I mean, you don't even realize how much of the F1 movie is VFX until you see the breakdown. Like, a lot of those racing scenes are just, like, CG cars, and you don't realize that. Jurassic World Rebirth, I really didn't like the movie, but I mean, it did have really good VFX, for sure. Lost Bus, I haven't seen, but from the clips and stuff I've seen at the shows and whatnot, it looks really good. And then Sinners, I'll be honest, Sinners I think was probably the weakest one on this list for visual effects. I personally don't think it deserved the nomination. I think towards the third act, there are some VFX issues that I noticed more so watching at home. Sometimes I don't notice like green screen or VFX issues as much until I'm watching it on my TV at home, and then it stands out to me a lot more. And with Sinners, there was definitely some parts towards the end where I found myself like, that doesn't look the greatest. Still good, but I feel like there's something else that probably could have been nominated for this category. Off the top of my head, I'm not entirely sure what, but even like Tron Ares, like I'm not a fan of Tron Ares, but like something like Tron or like How to Train Your Dragon, I feel like stands out more in that regard. But I guess those films are definitely much more fictionalized feeling. Sinners, is still to a degree grounded in reality, so it kind of blends in better. Then I will kind of skip ahead a little bit here. Original score, Ludwig Göransson took home his third Oscar tonight, previously winning for Black Panther and for Oppenheimer a couple of years back, and I'm sure that he's going to be nominated again next year with his upcoming work on Nolan's The Odyssey, which I just cannot wait for that movie. But yeah, great score. I think he did an excellent job with this film. I mean, the music is such an integral part of the film Sinners. It is like it is at the core of the movie. And so really, I mean, the whole score is what this film is really like centered around. And yeah, Ludwig's score was just incredible here. Fantastic work, what he did with this. But I think the other nominees were great too. I loved the score for Begonia. That might honestly be my second favorite on this list. I thought that the score was so epic and just like grand, and just you're sitting there and just like watching Jesse Plemons ride his bicycle, and the music just sounds like you're witnessing the birth of Jesus or something. Like, it's insane how good the score was for that movie. Frankenstein, great score as well. Some awesome violin work and stuff in there. Hamnet, and of course One Battle After Another, which I really liked the score for as well. So really solid category. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember if there's a film that I was hoping to see nominated for this category that didn't make it. I'd have to look back in my notes and stuff. But yeah, Sinners was easily my pick and what I was hoping to win. Then we have Best Sound, the winner this year was F1. Another correct prediction. Really happy to see this one win something at least, because obviously F1's not gonna win any like major awards. If it's gonna win anything, it's gonna be for technical categories like VFX or sound or editing, and in this case it took home sound tonight, which was great to see. I thought it was really gonna be between this and Sinners. Sirat I haven't seen, but I know that is a movie that is based around sound, so that obviously that would have made sense as well. But really happy to see F1 take home this award. I think a movie that was just massively snubbed, though, for this category was Warfare. Same thing happened to Civil War last year. That didn't get in for sound or editing, and I think it 100% deserved to be. But this year especially, I think if Warfare had been nominated, that would have easily been my pick, like without a question, but it didn't get nominated. So F1 is what took home the award, and yeah, I'm happy with that. I think it sounded great. Obviously, I mean, just loud car engines and everything, cars whizzing by. What could go wrong? Then we had Best Editing. Always an interesting category because editing isn't something I really think about when I'm watching a movie. Like, if a movie is really well edited, it usually doesn't stand out to me. It's not something I think about. I might think, oh, the pacing in that film was really good, but the only time that editing actually stands out to me is when it's like either stylized, right? Like something like Edgar Wright's movies where he uses editing as like a humorous thing. Or when the editing is bad, like when you're watching a movie that just has a lot of cuts, like Bohemian Rhapsody, which won back in 2019. That's when it stands out. When it's stylized or when it's bad. And in the case of One Battle After Another, it was really good editing that you just don't really think about. And that's just kind of how the category works. Like, to me, F1 and Marty Supreme probably, off the top of my head, are the two films that I would say the editing stood out to me the most in. F1 because you're having all these really high octane racing scenes and you want to have really quick editing, and really well put together in that regard. And then Marty Supreme, I mean, again, you're watching characters just hitting ping pong back and forth, and so you want to have really fluid editing in that regard. So one of those two would have been my personal pick, but One Battle After Another still had, fantastic editing, no doubt about it. So cool to see that one win. I don't know if I predicted that. I might not have predicted that one. I'd have to look at my list. I think I might have said Marty Supreme. I don't know. I really have no idea. Or I said F1. I don't know. Anyways, then we have best cinematography. The winner was Sinners, which I did predict initially. As the award season went along, I did not think that was going to be the case, but I only ever uploaded one video talking about my nominees' predictions, so I got the point. Haha. But yeah, as the show was going along, or as the season was going along, I was kind of leaning towards One Battle After Another being the winner. I think on like betting sites and stuff, it was the favored one with like 65% or something. But it ended up going to Sinners, which is pretty great. First female cinematographer to win the award, which is great. And yeah, I think that the cinematography in Sinners was great. As I talked about in my initial video, it was shot on IMAX 70mm, so you have just those gorgeous large scale shots. It was also shot in like a wider aspect ratio as well, so it had that really interesting aspect to it where you're switching between like a narrower, wider field of view and a massive, screen that fills your whole peripheral. One Battle After Another similarly was shot in Panavision. But yeah, really, or sorry, VistaVision, I mean. But yeah, really cool to see Sinners take home that one. Initial prediction, and I think it had great cinematography. I think this one for me, it was really between Sinners, One Battle, and Train Dreams. One Battle, I do think had some amazing sequences. I mean, that whole final act car chase is so edge of your seat and just like amazing the way it's shot. So I could honestly see like my personal preference leaning towards One Battle being my favorite out of these nominees. It balances going between those big grand sequences and like more intimate handheld camera work when characters are shuffling through hallways or like running around in buildings and stuff. It really had that flow between those two, which I thought was really well done. International feature film, we have Sentimental Value, which was my prediction. It was only going to be between this and Secret Agent, as those were the only two nominated for Best Picture. And I was leaning towards Sentimental Value, just being that it was nominated for a few more categories. It was nominated for screenplay. It was nominated for 3 acting awards. So that was kind of I was leaning in that. Or no, was it 4? It was nominated for 4 acting categories. Sorry. So yeah, I was leaning in this one's favor. And it won, so that was good to see. Great movie. Have not seen any of the others, so I can't really speak for those. But yeah, Sentimental Value, best one on the list that I had seen, and the only. Then we had original song Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters 1. That was my prediction. I think to me, I Lied to You from Sinners stands out the most just because that was arguably my favorite movie scene of 2025. Like, that was just an incredible scene, that whole musical sequence. Whereas like Golden is just like the kind of song that you'll just hear on the radio all the time. Like, that's just like a big pop hit, and a really like catchy song. So it makes sense. It was between those two. They didn't even show the other 3 songs at the award show. Like, they didn't have the live performance. It was just for Golden and for I Lied to You. So it seemed kind of obvious. And yeah, Golden is what took home the award. So that's cool to see. Then we move into the last few categories here. So we got Best Director. Paul Thomas Anderson took home the award tonight. That was my prediction. It was really between him and Ryan Coogler. I don't think anybody else remotely stood a chance here. And yeah, PTA took it home. And again, I mean, I liked the movie the first time I watched it, but I wasn't as big on it as everybody else. I would have said I liked it, didn't love it. And I rewatched it today before the show, and my opinions on it changed a lot. I found myself appreciating the film a lot more, and honestly loving it. And I think this one was very well deserved. Marty Supreme is my favorite movie of the Best Picture nominees, so it's like, yeah, that would have been my personal favorite, but especially just with like the controversy surrounding Josh Safdie, there was just no way it was going to win that award. And I think this was PTA's. I think it was very well deserved. For this movie, I mean, obviously he's been nominated in the past, and there's, he's a super noteworthy director, like one of the all-time greats for so many films: Magnolia, Boogie Nights, The Master, the one he did with the oil, There Will Be Blood, which is my favorite of his. So this was totally his time to win. It's not just a career achievement award. Like he deserved it for this specific movie as well. And so I was really happy to see him take home that award. Then we had Best Actor. I'm gonna be honest, this was the category that I was the most kind of like about tonight. The winner was Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and if I'm gonna be honest, I think he was the weakest performance on this list. I think he was good. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great actor. I like him a lot. Very likable guy. To me, it was like a good performance, but not really like an Oscar worthy performance. I just wouldn't have expected him to be on the initial nominee list. I would have expected like somebody else. Like I personally would have really liked to have seen Jesse Plemons nominated for Begonia. Um, my prediction originally, and it kind of seemed like at the start of the season that Timothy was going to be winning this year, and he personally by far had my favorite performance out of the actors on this list. I thought he was excellent in Marty Supreme. I know people had issues with his Oscar campaigning. People had issues with his most recent comments about opera and ballet, which to be honest, I really don't care. I think it's stupid that people care that much about that. But Michael B. Jordan took home the award, so congrats to him. Again, still a good performance. He's playing two characters. He does a great job in the movie for sure. I don't know. I just really didn't think that at the start of this season, really didn't think Michael B. Jordan was going to be the winner, but he was, so congrats to him. I think Timothy, though, was my personal favorite. Then we had Best Actress, which was a lot more obvious of a pick. I think the odds were like 97% in Jessie Buckley's favor. She had literally won like everywhere else. It was really no question that she was going to be taking home the award. And yeah, so she won. I haven't seen the movie yet. It's one of the only two Best Picture nominees I haven't seen. I haven't seen this or Secret Agent. But I think she's a great actress from a lot of things I've seen her in. And so I was really, happy to see her win. The only movies, I'd seen the bottom three. I haven't seen If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, but I'd seen these three. And yeah. And then finally, the final award of the night, Best Picture. So the winner, was One Battle After Another, which was my prediction. That is what I thought was going to win. And I'm really happy it won. Again, like 2 months ago when I predicted it, that was my prediction. That's not what I wanted to win. But after like rewatching the film and my opinion coming around a lot more on it, I think it was the correct pick. My personal favorite movie of the nominees was Marty Supreme, but I do think One Battle After Another, just all around package, looking at all the awards that it got over the night and all the nominees it had, it was the right pick. Again, very topical film, so a very important movie, and for it to win in these times, I think really sends a strong message, and I think it was the most deserving here on the list. It was definitely between it and Sinners, but just as the night went along, it became obvious to me that, yeah, One Battle After Another was going to win. Pretty much like the exact point where I was like, oh yeah, this is One Battle After Another's night, was when Best Casting went to it. That was when I was like, okay, this is going to be One Battle's Oscar. So yeah, happy to see that one win. Great film, excellent movie, and overall pretty solid Oscars this year. The show itself was fine. Like the show is never really anything amazing in my opinion. It's just, it is what it is. I watch it. I look forward to the awards and whatnot. There were some funny moments, some cringy moments, what you would come to expect from the show. But yeah, thank you all for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on the awards down below and what you think was snubbed or whatever. And I'll see you all in the next one. Like I said, I'll have my list soon for my favorite movies of 2025 coming up, so look forward to that video.